I think I appreciated it for the first time, really appreciated what it had all meant.
Hi, Heather.
Hi.
I think this album is for you, it feels like coming home, right? Musically, maybe with the band and also with the themes of the album.
Yeah, there are a lot of songs about coming home on this record, and indeed I did make the record with my original team of people I started out with in London almost, it's hard to believe, 20 years ago now. So it was nice to get those people all together again, and you know, I wanted to capture some of that rawness that I got on my early records and really bring a full band sound to it again, because the album before had been an acoustic thing.
Yeah. Well, the album is inspired by the boat, the ship Moon, that you lived on during the 70s. When did your father build the boat?
My father built the boat when I was a kid, so I was like 8, 9 years old, and he and my mom had this dream, and when I look back at it now, it's just incredible to me that they actually just did that, you know, and they gave everything up, their jobs, and just built this boat and took us sailing. So, you know, and it was a beautiful boat, but it was very simple. It wasn't like these fancy yachts that you see today. There was no running water or electric lights or anything. It was very simple living.
And can you describe how you lived on the boat? Were you on sea for 1, 2 or 3 months in a row, or was it?
No, I mean we would be at sea just to get to the next place. So.
Yeah.
So sometimes it would be a week at sea. When we crossed the Atlantic, it was like almost 3 weeks. But we were mostly living in the Caribbean islands, so we'd sail between the islands and sometimes stay at one for 3 months. Sometimes we'd stay at one for 3 weeks, whatever they felt like, really. And there was a kind of a really beautiful kind of freedom to that. And of course, we weren't in school, so we were just running around and exploring and doing what kids do.
And how did you get the money to buy food?
Well, my parents, when we left Bermuda, we lived in a little cottage there, and they just rented out the cottage while we were away. And so we were on a very tight budget. I mean, we ate a lot of fresh fish, but a lot of, you know, like tinned food and just basic stuff. And then in the islands, there's always people selling the vegetables on the dock. Yeah. You know, it's pretty easy to live simply there. And
how long did you live this life?
Well, up until I was about 14.
So 4 or 5 years then. So was it? I think it was an important period of your life, I guess.
It was. It was really important, and I think really when this event happened, when this guy gave me the compass off the boat, which had sunk, and he dived us up. And he gave this to me. It brought it all back in a way that was different. You know, I think I appreciated it, maybe for the first time, really appreciated what it had all meant. And that's when I started writing these songs.
What is the story of the boat? When you set foot on solid ground again, what did happen to the boat?
My parents sold the boat because my dad got arthritis in his shoulders. He couldn't sail it anymore, basically, so they had to sell it. And after it was sold, it went up on the rocks. And so that was the end of the boat, the end of the Moon.
But did you know it was on the rocks?
Yeah, I did. I knew at the time, yeah.
And so how did this guy who died...
Well, what happens if a boat wrecks on the rocks, it then has to be towed out to see the remains of it, so it's not all over the shoreline. So, you know, someone towed it out to sea, and this guy knew where it was, and he dived on it, and he got the compass. So he said he'd been waiting for years to give it to me, but this was the time. So
when did he get the compass?
I don't know when he found it, but he gave it to me last year.
And how did he know it was your boat, the Moon?
Because Bermuda is a small place. Yeah. He knows. You know, everybody knows who everybody is, and he said he'd been he liked my music, and that's why he wanted to give this to me. And anyway, it was very symbolic for me to have this compass returning after that had been the thing that had taken us around the world, and that's the thing that really struck me. And so there's a song on the album called "Turn the Compass Round," and it's really about a search for that feeling of home again. And coming back to that.
And when you got the compass, what was the first song that you wrote?
That one, Turn
That
the
one.
Compass Round, yeah.
Okay. Did it? Well, you were saying, well, it made me appreciate that period of my life. In what way?
In so many ways, you know, for the memories, but also I have a child myself now. And it threw me into thinking about him and his future. And I wrote a song called Save a Little Piece of Tomorrow, which is really, you know, we live on sea level like you do here. And so I was thinking about a time in the future when he might want to come back and see his childhood home. And it would be underwater due to the climate change and global warming. So, you know, the idea with that song is images of him swimming through the water, looking down at the wreck of the house. And so it had me looking back, but also looking forward.